Okay, let's go through some of these homework problems that we had. This is your second assignment from section 1. So it's determine whether or not the given table could possibly be a table of values of a function. Give reasons for your answers. So for this first one, the answer would be, in order to find this, all we have to do is check our x and y values. Basically, if I look at my x values and they're all different, then it would be a function. So your answer would just be yes, no, x values repeat. That's pretty terrible writing, but you'll have to deal with it. Okay, let's look at the next one. For the next one, we have negative 5, 7, 3, 3, 0, 0, negative 3, 5, and 5, negative 3. Again, none of our x's repeat. So this would be yes also. So that's the first two. Determine whether or not the given table could possibly be a table of values of a function. Give reasons for your answers. Same thing here. If I look at my x values this time, I have negative 5 to 0 and negative 5 to 6. Since those two are both going to different y's, your answer here would be no, it's not a function. And the reason is that your x's repeat. If I look down at this table, I have 5 different inputs, so it looks like it should be a function. However, if I'm looking at my y values, 2 goes to both positive and negative 5. So that means my 2 goes to 2 different values, which makes this no. And that's because 2 goes to 2 different numbers. Okay. It says find the output or the tax amount that is produced by each of the following inputs or the incomes. So if our income is less than 2,000, then it tells us that the amount of tax that's paid is 0. So for our first answer, 500, this would be 0. It's simply because the number is less than 2,000. If I look at my next answer, 1509, that would also be 0 because it's less than 2,000. Oops. If I'm looking at 3,754, now it's 2% of the income over 2,000. So the first thing I have to do is I have to subtract 3,754 minus 2,000. So that's going to give me 1,754. And then I multiply that by 0.02. because that's 2% written as a decimal. So 1754 times 0.02 is equal to 3508. So that's my final answer. It's just 3508. And I'm done. Move on to the next one, 6,783. So that falls into this third category here. And if it's $80, that's everything that's included in here. So I start with $80 plus 5% of the income over 6,000. Excuse me. So it's going to be plus 0.05 times 783. Plug that in the calculator. 0.05 times 783 plus 80 gives us 119.50. 119.15, and that's our final answer for that one. Oops. You get the point. It was 119.15. It's really hard to draw with the mouse pad. I give up. Okay, next one is 12,500. In order to do this one, we do 12,500 minus 6,000. That gives us 6,500. Times 0.05 plus 80. That gives you 405. So that's the amount of tax we would have to pay on that. Last one here is 55,342. We're going through the same process. Subtract 6,000 from that. It gives you 49,342 times 0.05 plus 80, and we get $2,547.10. So that would be our total tax revenue. Oops. Okay, next one is the domain of f. So if I'm looking at my domain values, it's all of the x values that are included in the function. So it starts here at -3. It goes up, I'm looking at just the x's, to 1, and it stops right there. And it picks right back up at 1 with a closed dot, which means that it's continuing on. Then it goes to 2, and there's a closed dot. And we can see it picks up right above that and goes to 4. So our answer for the domain here is going to be the domain of f is every value from -3 all the way up to 4. Those are closed brackets because it's a closed dot on both ends. The range of f is all the y values. So it starts at -2 and it goes all the way up to 3. So my range is from -2 to 3. F of -3, that means when x is -3, what is y? So I come back to -3. My y value is down here, so that would just be -2. F of -1 wants to know when x is -1, what is y? That looks like 0.5. Oops. Part E, when f is 1, when x is 1, what is y? So when x is 1, I have this point here that's closed, and I have this one that's open. Because this one up here is open, that tells me that it's not actually at x is 1. So that means that it has to be the one below it, or this one here. So when x is 1, y is 1. For f of 2, we go over to when x is 2. When x is 2, y is -1. That takes us to our next homework assignment. Write the recursive form for each sequence. So for this one, it goes -5, -3, 0, 4, 9. So if I'm looking at what's happening here, it goes up 2, up 3, up 4, and up 5. So when I'm looking at how these things change, this goes up 2, up 3, up 4, up 5. So my recursive formula is going to be u sub n equals u sub n minus 1. Now if I'm looking at this, it went up 2, up 3, so this is going to be n plus 1. And the reason for that is this first term is n. So if I'm taking my n, which is the first term, plus 1 more, that would mean that I'm adding 2. So I'm taking my first term, negative 5, plus 1, plus 1, which would be plus 2. If I take my second term, that would be negative 3 plus n, which is 2 in this case, because it's the second term, plus 1 more, that gives us 3. And that's my answer. That is the recursive form. Number 2, if I look at this one, it's going from negative 128 to negative 32 to negative 8 to negative 2. So it's going down by a different amount each time, but really it's getting more and more closer to 0. Because it's getting closer to 0, I should look at, and because it's a different number each time that it's going up by, that means that I should look and see if it's a division or multiplication. In this case, we're multiplying each of the terms before by 1/4. Because 1/4 of 128 is 32. 1/4 of negative 8 is, or 1/4 of negative 32 is negative 8, and 1/4 of negative 8 is negative 2. So my formula here would just be u sub n equals 1/4 of u sub n minus 1. For the next one, it goes up by 2, up by 3, up by 4, up by 5. So this is kind of real similar to the first one, because we have u sub n equals u sub n minus 1 plus, and now here we have, it goes up by 2, up by 3, up by 4, up by 5. So if I'm taking my first term and trying to get to the second term, I'm actually adding 2, or my n, to it. So that's just plus n. So to find the second term, I take the first term, which is 2, plus the number of the term, which is the second one, and it goes like that, continuously forever. Number 4. It's 4, negative 8, 16, negative 32, and then 64. I can tell from the 4, 8, and 16 that it's doubling each time, but I see that it keeps going positive, negative, positive, negative. That tells me that I'm multiplying by a negative 2. So it's u sub n equals negative 2 times u sub n minus 1. Number 5. For this one, we go from 4 to 4/5 to 4 over 25, 4 over 125, and 4 over 625. Each time we're multiplying by 1/5. So this is just u sub n equals 1/5 of u sub n minus 1. Number 6, this one was a little hard for me to see going from the first term to the second, but going from the second to the third, you can see you add 200 and then add 200. If you look back at the original, it means that you're just adding 200 each time. So U sub n equals U sub n minus 1 plus 200. All right, next one. 3, 6, 12, 24, 48. We're doubling each time. So it's U sub n equals 2 times U sub n minus 1. Number 8 is 24, 26, 28, 30. So we U sub n equals U sub n minus 1 plus 2, because it goes up by 2 each time. Number 9, negative 9, negative 18, negative 27, negative 36. I can tell that when I'm doing this, I am subtracting 9 from each of these numbers. So that's going to be U sub n equals U sub n minus 1 and then minus 9. Number 10, I can tell I'm adding 5 to each number. So that is just U sub n equals U sub n minus 1 plus 5. On to the next assignment. I have 9, 10, 11, and 12 for this one. So it says find the first 5 terms of the given sequence. For number 9, I start with U sub 1 equals 4, so that's my first term. To find the next term, I take U sub n equals 2 times my first term, which is 4. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So I'm at 4, 11. I take 2 times 11, which is 22, plus 3. That's 25. 2 times 25 is 50, plus 3 is 53. 2 times 53 is 106, plus 3 is 109. So that's my 5 terms. Number 10. I start with U sub 1 equals 5. So that's my first term. Then it's 1/3 of 5, which should be 5/3 minus 4. Well, that's no fun. So let's do it in the calculator. 5/3 minus 4 is negative 7/3. My next one would be to multiply that by 1/3. So it's going to give me negative 7/9. And then minus 4. Which is negative 43/9. Then I multiply that by 1/3. And subtract 4. It gives me negative 151 over 27. Then I multiply that by 1/3 and subtract 4. That's negative 475 over 81. Number 11, u sub 1 equals 1, u sub 2 is negative 2, u sub 3 is 3. And then we have our formula. So in order to find my fourth term, I need to do basically 3 plus negative 2 plus 1. That gives me 2. So it's 3 minus 2, which is 1, plus 1 is 2. So that's my u sub 4. To find u sub 5, I take the previous 3, so 2 plus 3 plus negative 2, add those together, I get 3. Number 12, u sub 0 is 1, u sub 1 is 1, and it says u sub n equals n times u sub n minus 1. So if I'm finding my third term in the sequence, I take 3 times the first u sub 1, which should be 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. To find the fourth term, it's 4 times the term I just found. So 4 times 3 is 12. To find the fifth term, it's 5 times 12, which was the term I just previously found, and that's going to give you 60. Alright, I'll do another video just so I can make sure that I can upload these. So I'll do another video going over the next 3 assignments.